Welcome to the reincarnation of the Starting Strength podcast. This time it's a video podcast. And if everything works according to plan, we'll be bringing you these little things from time to time. I don't know about a regular schedule right now, but our aim is to work toward some kind of regular schedule for the podcast. I suppose we should solicit your comments and suggestions as long as they're not stupid. Okay, so just keep that in mind as you make comments and suggestions. Okay, now today we are talking to our friend in Los Angeles, Coach Paul Horn. Paul is the only starting strength coach in Southern California, and as a result, he's very busy. His day is full. He's doing very well as a starting strength coach, and today what we're going to do is talk to Paul about how he got where he is and exactly what the hell he's doing now. Paul, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, sir.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey from vegan hippie weirdo to manly starting strength coach?
Well, let's see. I was I guess we'll start with the vegan part. I was a 165-pound vegan back when I was about 18 and did that for about 2.5 years. It was one of those things where I was in college and very impressionable and read a couple books and had a couple hippie professors and just didn't really know any better.
Oh, God.
So
who hasn't,
Yeah. So, but when I was 20, one of my best friends convinced me that maybe going to the gym would be something I enjoyed. And so he took me to the gym. And we started doing a bunch of silly stuff, lots of tricep work and things like that. And
stuff we all did when we
right.
went to the gym, sure.
Sure. But I was having issues with cramping in my muscles. They were seizing up a lot. I was getting all kinds of just weird tension in the muscles. And
that's because you were getting muscle bound. You're getting too big.
Yeah. So he kind of pulled me aside and told me, look, if you're not eating any protein or any real protein, then you're just kind of wasting your time in here. And so ended up with sitting down with a can of tuna fish and, cleared my schedule because they always tell you when you go back from not eating meat to eating meat or any kind of animal products, you might get sick. And long story short, I felt better after that can of tuna than I felt like I was on drugs.
You didn't get sick.
No, I was bouncing off the walls with energy and just realized something was missing. So
isn't that strange that the food that humans have been eating for the past 3 million years didn't make you sick?
No, it was quite the opposite. And so just, went from there to eggs and chicken and beef and, full on carnivore again.
Came back to the fold, as it were.
Yeah. And then ended up really just enjoying the gym. We were doing stupid stuff, anything we could get our hands on from T Nation or, bodybuilding magazines, things like that. Stuff most people do when they start. And so I did that for about almost 10 years. And, again, not really knowing what I was doing, but enjoying the process and seeing, changes made to your body. And
So you were a vegan like 15 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know anybody was that dumb 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, the idea is Southern California. Okay.
Right. So anyway, ended up really getting hurt. And I tore my labrum. I think it was from bench pressing incorrectly. It was either that or from jiu-jitsu. I don't know for sure. But, and, got to the point where I couldn't do push-ups without being in a lot of pain and wasted, as we Southern Californians do, wasted a lot of time with acupuncture and massage and all kinds of silly things.
It's required.
Right. And then eventually got an MRI and, they said, well, acupuncture is not going to fix a tear. So,
isn't it crazy?
Yeah. So ended up having the surgery, and with my arm, in a sling for 3 months, started looking for, well, how do I do this correctly? How do I do this without getting hurt? And that's when I stumbled across Starting Strength and picked up the book. And when I couldn't go to the gym, I couldn't lift, so I just started reading it. And about 3 months later, they cleared me to lift, and I went back into the gym with an empty barbell and just started the Starting Strength program, with a 45-pound bar, and realized within about 3 months that I was close to outlifting everybody in the gym. Now, this was at a time when, no one was wearing weightlifting shoes. The squat rack was always empty. The guys with the cutoff shirts were spending their time over by the dumbbell rack. And so I'm going in, and these guys are coming over and, like, what are you doing? Every time you come in here, you're squatting. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I read about this, and I'm going to try it, and we're going to see what happens. And then 3 months later, they're coming over like, can you tell me a little bit more about this program? Because we were starting to move some serious weight at the time, what I thought was serious weight. So, from there, started coaching, kind of just helping guys understand the little bit that I knew at the time. And eventually my wife sent me to the seminar in Wichita Falls as a Christmas present. She knew I was a big fan.
What a sweet girl.
She's very sweet, and she knew I was, a big fan. I live in LA, so we have Gold's Gym out here, and people make pilgrimages out to the Mecca, and this was a little bit of my version of that. I got to come out to your gym and meet you and hang out with some guys and do the seminar, which was fantastic. And ended up passing, came home, and my name went up on the coaches registry. And within a matter of a month or so, I started getting emails from people. I found the book. I'm looking for help getting through it or understanding how to do the lifts. Can you help me out? And I didn't really have a place to work with these people. I was training at a normal college gym, and so ended up kind of punting on it for almost a year, really not doing much other than working with a few guys at my local gym, but not training anybody very seriously outside of that. And so I think a year later, you had the very first Starting Strength Coaches Conference, and I believe the first time it was about $95 to go. So I said, what the hell? And went back to the gym and met, all of the coaches. And it was, that was kind of the game changer right there. We saw Andy Baker give a talk about how he runs his business. And I remember sitting in the audience and just kind of doing the math, because I had always thought if you wanted to work in the fitness industry, that meant you work at 24 Hour Fitness as a trainer, and you make no money, and it's just not a sustainable business or sustainable job if you want to have a career. And
yeah, and unfortunately, that's the normal fate of your bachelor's degree exercise physiology major. That's
right.
What you're talking about is exactly their doom.
Yeah,
they're pin setters at a Gold's Gym, because that's all that they are prepared to do.
Yeah, and we, and so that it was just, I had been lifting, whatever you want to call it. I had been working out for 10 years or more. I loved it, but it just never seemed like something I could do for a living or make any money at, and I certainly didn't want to work at Gold's Gym. But we went to going to that coaches conference, and there I met Andy, and he gave a fantastic talk and sort of laid out his business model. And I remember sitting there with a pen and writing down the numbers for, what he charges and how he runs his group sessions and stuff like that. And just kind of had this holy shit moment where you're like, wow, this guy's he's eating. he's making enough to survive.
Yeah, and not only is he eating, he's doing pretty well.
Right.
And I assume at this point you are too.
Yeah.
The move into your own actual commercial storefront gym has been very successful. And as we understand it, you are in the process of expanding that and growing. And we're coming back out there in January for our second starting strength seminar at your starting strength gym. And thus the legend, Paul Horn, the legend, was born. So what do you do every day now that you're a full-time starting strength coach for real money?
Well, I don't train myself. That's for sure.
No, there's no time.
No. I'd been warned about that, and
yeah, that's the worst thing you can do for your own training is get in the gym business. Absolutely. Right. We've all found that out.
Yeah. I'm sure it's pretty typical with a lot of the other guys who are doing this, but, I'm up at about 5:15 and in the gym by 10 of 6. We run small group sessions from about 6 to 11. I come home and then I handle business stuff, accounting, billing, all that kind of stuff, and little maintenance things that need to get done. And then I'm back in the gym by about 4:30 for our evening sessions. So I'm there from about 4:30 to 8:30, and then if I feel like staying in the gym for another 2 hours, I'll stay and train myself. Come home, eat, go to bed, do it all again.
So you've been in both ends of the business now. You've been in the standard fitness industry type commercial gym, and you've owned a starting strength gym. What's the primary difference you see between these two business models, these two operations?
I mean, our gym, the gym that I run, is set up for people to come and train with barbells. I don't know of a commercial gym out there that can say the same thing. I have more squat racks in my 2,000 square foot space than I think the 3 big gyms in my area combined.
Yeah, it is interesting that you can build. It always fascinates me. I have been in 200,000 square foot Lifetime Fitnesses that have less barbell equipment than you do. It's amazing, absolutely amazing how much money you can spend on silly bullshit if you just apply yourself to the task. Absolutely.
Yeah, and my operation right now is fairly small. I have somewhere between 40 and 50 clients, and I know them all. We have a very personal relationship. I see them 2-3 times a week, and they're all getting stronger. That's the other thing is they to some degree have learned to trust me and trust the process, and they know that when they come in, it's we're going to have a good time, but they're going to get to work, and we're going to see where it goes. We're going to always be striving to get them a little bit stronger.
And to briefly summarize the process for those of you watching that are terribly unfamiliar with what we do, we concentrate on progress on about 6 different exercises. Exercise selection is not the variable we manipulate. When you come in to Wichita Falls Athletic Club, you come into Horn Strength and Conditioning, what happens is the squat goes up 5 pounds. The deadlift goes up 5 pounds. We don't invent a brand new way to do anything today. We teach the methods of basic barbell training, and then the variable we manipulate is load. And everybody, as a result, somehow gets stronger. And it's been my experience that when you show people a month's worth of training and their squat has gone up 60 pounds, this does a terribly good job of convincing them to stay for another month. And as a result, I think you're probably doing pretty well, aren't you? What are the benefits of being a starting strength coach?
I mean, from a business perspective, it's pretty clear. And I own a segment of the market that was not being served in all of Southern California. So for me, I have a very clear message that I'm giving to the marketplace. I get a lot of comments about people who find me through search engines, and they'll compliment my search engine optimization or something like that. And like I've actively gone out and tried to manipulate Google but really what I did was put up a website and tell people what we're all about, and lo and behold, they can find me.
They optimize the search themselves. Isn't that interesting?
Exactly. And that's been huge, I don't need a lot of clients to be successful, and we have a huge market here in LA. The book's very popular. The internet, as one client told me, the best thing about the internet is it will tell you what the best is for everything. So if you want a toaster, you go online, the internet will tell you, here's the best toaster, buy this one. And fortunately for me and a lot of the other starting strength coaches, the internet has decided that if you want to start this journey of getting stronger, starting strength is the way to do that. And so they go online, they find the book, they look for a coach. If you're in LA, you're going to find me. And it's just been, I do very little marketing other than just word of mouth, and it's been fantastic.
Well,
and it's fun.
In your situation, you get to write your own ticket too.
Right.
Right. The demand exceeds the supply, and a lot of people have found this that are operating starting strength model gyms around the country, that they make pretty good money. They make pretty good money because the product is not available anywhere else at the level in which it is found in a starting strength gym. All of our coaches, again, for those of you that aren't really familiar with our situation here, that are possibly looking at starting strength for the first time on this podcast, all of our coaches, before they can even take the written part of the exam for the starting strength coach examination, all of our coaches have been evaluated first and primarily on their ability to coach this material. A starting strength coach certificate is not a weekend seminar. The weekend seminar is the culmination of their preparation for examination as a starting strength coach. We do not pretend, as virtually all other certifications do, that we can generate a coach in a weekend. Our job at our starting strength seminar is to evaluate the people that come through the door. Those that are already starting strength coaches are recognized for that fact, and everybody else just learns. And as a result, anyone with our credential can coach this material, absolutely can coach it, or they don't pass. And Paul's very good at what he does. He's out in Los Angeles, and once again, we will be in his gym on, I think it's January 15th, 16th. Is that correct, Paul?
Yeah, 15th through 17th.
15th, 16th, 17th. Mm-hmm. We're talking here the 1st of December. This will be in January 2016, and if you're still on the fence about whether to go, Paul, why should someone come to a starting strength seminar?
Well, I would say, if most of the people that are there have had some exposure to the material and are at some point of working their way through the program. So if you're interested in getting a much deeper understanding of the material, you can't beat the experience of being there. On top of just the lectures and the analysis of the lifts, having 5 starting strength coaches and you there to evaluate, your technique is absolutely worth the cost. I know when I did mine, I came home and had to rebuild my squat, and I thought I was doing pretty good. For the general population, the casual trainee, it's just a really fun educational weekend, and kind of jumpstarts your own training. And then for the other group, the people who want to be starting strength coaches, this is really your only opportunity to do it. I mean, this is the only option for getting your credential, and even if you don't pass, which, because I mean, I know our pass rate's very low, which I thought that I used to think that was great, but now I'm trying to hire coaches and there just aren't any. So.
It's hard. Yeah, when demand exceeds supply, things get kind of weird in terms of price, that sort of thing.
I loved being the only guy in LA, but now I can't take someone from Equinox and have them coach a squat. They just don't know how to do it.
Because they don't know how.
No.
So
they don't know how.
What happens when a new member joins your gym? What can they expect on the first day?
So day one, we always start the same way. We're going to come in, we're going to talk for a little bit about, what they're looking for and kind of go over the nuts and bolts of our approach to training, and then we're going to show them how to squat. We're going to spend about half hour to 45 minutes teaching them how to squat and finding their appropriate starting weight. We're going to work our way up in small jumps until we find something that's a little difficult, and we're going to call that day one, and then we're going to write that down, and from there we'll go to the press and we'll do the same thing, find out where they are on the press. And usually if it's a weekday session, that's about as far as we get on day one. If they come in on the weekends, we'll throw the deadlift in and do the same thing. And we send them home, they eat and sleep, and then they come back 2 days later and we do it all again. We show them the bench press, we go over the squat and deadlift again, and we just go from there. It's a process.
So who ends up being clients of Horn Strength and Conditioning?
Have
you got is Brad Pitt one of your clients? I mean,
no.
Everyone's concerned about Brad. Is he one of your clients?
Everybody who, when you talk about Los Angeles, everybody has an idea of what it's like. We're either in the middle of a war between the Crips and the Bloods, or we're up in Hollywood hanging out with all celebrities. LA's huge, and my little pocket is filled with very normal, regular folks. So
normal, regular commercial real estate developers.
Fair enough.
Regular trillionaires, right?
Yeah. We have a good mix. We've got a lot of we've got a lot of
Southern California.
We've got, like you said, the real estate developers. We've got a lot of software developers. This is sort of a hotbed for the tech industry now, and I would say it's a pretty normal group of Californians. No celebrities yet.
Oh, I like that, Paul. Well, we'll just take that for what it's worth. So. Let's circle back around. I know you've got to get going. We're going to be in your gym January 15, 16, 17, 2016. If you're seeing this podcast after that date, come to startingstrength.com and find one that more appropriately fits your schedule. And if you want to get a hold of Paul, how do people contact you at Horn Strength and Conditioning in Los Angeles?
The best way to do it is just go to the website, which is hornstrength.com. There's a contact form. You can contact me that way.
Contact him today, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be the first step in an extremely valuable journey that you will take. Paul, thanks for being with us today. Paul Horn has been our guest on this #1 podcast, and we'll be back soon. And we thank you for watching.